Most folks meet with their financial advisor once a year, and that meeting is one of the most valuable hours in your financial life if it's done right. So today we're going to talk honestly about what that meeting looks like when it isn't and what it looks like when it is.
Welcome to the My Retirement Clarity Podcast, where our goal is simple, to help you close the gap between what you know and what you implement. The team at Perkins Wealth Management does this by helping good people make great decisions so they can enjoy an amazing retirement. And now, here's your host and financial advisor, Lee Perkins.
Welcome in. Glad to have you on My Retirement Clarity. I'm Ben George. He is Lee Perkins, owner and financial advisor at Perkins Wealth Management. They're in Macon, Georgia. You'll find them online at myretirementclarity.com. Lee, welcome in. How's everything with you?
It's good, man. Spring has sprung. It's about 78 degrees out here now.
Nice.
Sun's shiny, and I've been able to dust off the golf clubs and get a few rounds in. So it's good. I don't really care for the pollen.
Right.
I don't have pollen. Yeah. I don't really have pollen allergies, but it's affected some of my team members, and of course my wife and kids are both have all that. But yeah, we need one more good rain.
Yeah.
And I think it'll all be gone.
Yeah, well, hopefully you're enjoying this time of the year. So it's a wonderful time of the year, and hopefully you're getting out and enjoying this weather before it gets too hot. I know we'll be complaining about the humidity before too long, Lee. But
absolutely.
In the meantime, I want to talk to you today about the annual financial review and just kind of talk about, for those that maybe aren't that experienced going through reviews, hey, what it should look like, when it's going well, when it's not going well, and just kind of what to expect, because this is a very important time in meeting, and you want to get the most out of this opportunity to talk with your advisor, right?
Yeah, and for us, I think the quote annual review, it's not always just an annual review. We meet our clients when they want to meet, but we like to sit face to face or knee to knee, as I like to say, at least once a year. For many clients, twice a year, just to have that check in, and it's not always what people would think a annual review would look like. And so, yeah, I'm excited to get into this topic here today.
All right, let's dig in. And remember, if you want to schedule a time to talk with Lee directly, you can do that at talkwithjlp.com. All right, so let's just start with, again, let's set the stage first by saying we're not trying to bash anybody in the way that they do it, right? We just want to make sure you kind of have clear expectations on what this should look like. And I'm just going to want to start with, Lee, for people that you've come in and worked with you and you begin working with as clients, what kind of stories have they shared about, their past meetings, or, hey, what they felt like that was missing from those past reviews that they were doing elsewhere?
Yeah, I think many times the industry has sort of trained the average consumer or the average client out there that when you get together and you sit down with your advisor, that you need to talk. You spend all your time talking about the accounts and what your investments are. Let's talk about performance and compare it to an index and see if we're beating that index, or are we lagging or trailing that index, and do we need to make an adjustment? That's, in my opinion, that is a very, very old school way of doing things, and I don't think adds a lot of value. What we want to do, and I'll just kind of give you the snapshot of what an annual review looks like for us. We want our clients, number one thing, we want them to be heard, and we want them to get value from this. So what that meeting looks like is we come in, there's always an agenda, and our agenda page looks familiar, but at the very top of that agenda is we want to know what's on your mind. Because if somebody comes in with something that they want to discuss, and we just go down the line of the things that we want to talk about, they're not going to hear it. So that's where we start. What is on your mind? And of course, they hit us with a lot of different things there. So that's where it starts. So I don't know if you want to kind of dig into some of that, like what are the things that people want to ask?
Let's do that. Let's get into kind of what that looks like, and again, more of what a good one looks like, so you can kind of know, what to expect and what the process at Perkins
Sure.
Wealth Management is. But yeah, let's dig in a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. So if we start with that sort of bullet point on our agenda, what's on your mind? Lots of times, people do just want to know, Am I going to be okay? It's the number one question everybody wants to know. Am I going to be okay? And are there any adjustments that we need to make? But if they come in with something on their mind that specifically they want to talk about, I would tell you that lots of times it is a distribution for something. Maybe it's to remodel a house or put new windows or redo the kitchen or something like that. Or maybe they want to gift some money to a child or a grandchild, because as we've talked about here on the show many times, most of my clients will get to a point financially and age-wise where they realize they're not going to spend all the money that they have, and they want to start thinking about how they can give away money to somebody else while they're still living. So those kind of conversations, distributions, maybe they want to take out money for a trip, and we'll talk about where those monies will come from and all those kind of things. So those are kind of some of the topics that people generally will come up with early on. Mm-hmm. After that, then we will take a quick look at somebody's portfolio. I'm actually pulling up an agenda for somebody that we had a review with this morning. We want to do an account check-in just to make sure that the accounts are doing what you want to do. I would say in an hour-long review, we probably spend 5 or 7 minutes talking about your actual investments. Okay. Is there anything that needs to be tweaked? What I try not to do is try not to get into politics or too much on the economy. Or if we start with the economy, it generally can go down the road of politics. And that doesn't do anybody any good. I think people give politicians too much credit and too much blame at times. Like the president, for instance, he's like a quarterback. He does get too much credit and too much blame, and sometimes people focus too much on that. And so that doesn't do any good to just have a political conversation. I want to know if something really changed in their world. Is there a reason that we need to tweak things? Has your situation changed to where the strategy needs to become either more conservative or more aggressive? And we can make those kind of tweaks. Also, from a income and expense standpoint, I want to know, how are you doing money-wise? Do you have enough money every month? Nobody has too much money. I think we can agree with that. But if you've got more money coming in every month than you need, then maybe we can cut back on a distribution or tweak that. So we want to do that income and asset review. Also, we have something that we call a blueprint, where we can see everybody's financial life on one big page, and we'll update things. Sometimes there's land that somebody has, and we want to update the value of that. And if they've acquired additional debts, we add those things on there. We'll look at life insurance policies to make sure that those are still, in purpose, doing what they need to do, still has some purpose from what they did 10 or 20 years ago when they first bought those policies. And if they no longer fit, then we can look at that and make recommendations on whether they need to keep policies or get rid of policies and cancel them, or do they need to upgrade the policies with something else? That's something that we want to take a look at. I would also say, if I asked you, Ben, what is one thing that you probably talk with everybody about? You would probably say taxes, because we know, that's a big topic that we always talk about. Yeah. We want to review somebody's tax situation. The software that we use will give us a hypothetical tax returns that we can look at that's based on all the information that we have in our planning tools. But if somebody brings us a tax return, we have another tool that we can actually look at the real hard data and make planning decisions based on the tax return. So there's a lot in there when we're doing tax planning, and then we just sort of plan for that next year. So there's a lot that goes on in our annual reviews, and it's not just about reviewing the account performance. Hey folks, Lee Perkins here. I wanted to tell you about our brand new book called Next Phase: How to Retire in a Year or Less Without Regrets. It's all about helping you prepare for the next phase of your life, whatever that looks like for you. So, if you're ready to make the most of your next phase, or if you're already retired and aren't sure you're doing all you can to get the most out of your retirement, then you'll want a copy of this book. All you have to do is text Next Phase to 478-475-2050, and we'll send you a copy right away. You can also access additional resources and register for one of our upcoming workshops at our website, www.myretirementclarity.com. Thanks for listening. Now back to the show.
Obviously, that's a big part of it, and I think that's what people, kind of anticipate going into it. And it's obviously you cover a number of different things, right? So that's another kind of thing to be aware of, is that you're going to cover a number of different categories to kind of make sure everything is on track. How much is it about the personal side, Lee, and just kind of learning more about, where someone is in life and kind of reviewing, those things to kind of help determine maybe the bigger picture when you're talking about finances moving forward?
Yeah, that's a big part of it. And we really start the meetings generally. I'm like, tell me what's going on in your world. I want to know where they're traveling, what trips they have coming up, or where have they been, or what's new, what's going on. Maybe if there's life milestones, they got a grandchild that has a wedding coming up, or just things like that. Because at the end of the day, that's what separates us from an online or a web-based advisor, people that don't know anything about you other than what the numbers are. I feel like when we know more about the people and their family and their situation and what they're actually going through, we can really add value. Now, going back to the pressing issues part, that kind of at the beginning of the thing, this is where many times we hear about things that really do need to be addressed. Health issues, as our clients age, it just happens. Life happens and our bodies break down, and we can't do things nowadays that we could do 3 years ago. And in 3 years, we won't be able to do the things that we can do now. So that's why I challenge our clients to live their lives to the fullest. I think we talked about this last month. I would say that the theme for this year for our clients is the power of possibility. And we want to challenge our clients to make the most of every single day in retirement. But we know that sometimes things don't work out. And so lots of times these pressing issues, it is the health of a loved one. Maybe there's declining health or surgeries or, God forbid, dementia or Alzheimer's diagnosis. Those are the worst, but we're there to help make sure that our clients can face those things in the best manner possible. And when those things happen, I will tell you, man, the last thing people want to know is, hey, I heard the market did 4% this quarter. What did I do this quarter? They don't care. They want to know that we've got their back, and we do. We got a whole team of people around all of our clients to make sure that they're cared for and they're taken care of.
Yeah. Again, you can schedule a time to meet with Lee. And if you want to, maybe not your annual review, maybe it's the first time you sit down and meet and get to learn more about the team and what J.L. Perkins Wealth Management can do in terms of planning to help you reach those financial goals that you have, right? It's talkwithjlp.com to set that up. Maybe on the flip side, Lee, what are just some things to kind of be aware of if you are, currently working with an advisor, just trying to get a better feel of, hey, is this the right fit? What are some things that would happen in a review that, hey, maybe this is not the best way to be spending my time?
Right. If in a review, all they're doing is talking about the investment, the mutual fund, the stock, the ETF, or the bond, or whatever that investment is, if they spend most of their time talking about that, I would question whether or not you are getting the value that they're charging. We charge our clients a management fee the same way most advisory firms do. But we don't want to just handle the investment part of it, because I think all the other things that I've mentioned here on the show today, the income planning, the ups and downs of that, paired with the expenses and how expensive life is today, sometimes people need to make an adjustment. We're there for that, and that can't be shown on just a sheet that I see sometimes people get that says, hey, you should be able to take 5% out of your account and everything's good. That's an academic rule that may or may not stand up in your situation. So we just want to meet people where they are and give them more than just the review of the accounts, because there's so much more than that. And in full disclosure, when I got into this business, I've talked about it before, with Smith Barney back in 2007, if somebody came into the office, that was 95% of our conversations. And I don't, it's been 20 years ago now. I don't even remember scheduling annual reviews back then. I do remember working with a fellow that he had to call one of his clients every single day. Now, the internet was around back then, but he had to call his client every single morning, probably about 10 o'clock. No, it was before the market opened, so it was before 9:30, and tell him what he thought the market, give a review of what the market did yesterday, and then tell him what he thought was going to happen today. And I've said since 2007, I cannot think of a more miserable way to spend my day or to start my day than having that conversation. And my clients know my door is open. They can call me or they can call any of the other advisors that are here, any team members, any time of the day. But I'm not going to call you every month and give you what the market has done, because you can get that on the TV all day, every day. It's just out there. We want to provide more value than that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hopefully this kind of gives you a better idea and a better sense of what a review should look like if, done the proper way. And, for anyone, Lee, that maybe hasn't gone through this process, how often is it just an annual review? How often should you be having conversations with your advisor?
So at least annually. Like I say, I'm not going to say most of our clients. I would say probably 35% of our clients we will meet twice a year with. I would say as the situation dictates, if I got somebody that's thinking about retiring in November, I'm going to meet with them 3 times between now and November, because I want to make sure everything's covered. If there's a loss of a spouse, I'm going to meet with them 5 times, 6 times over the next 6-8 months to make sure all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed, because life changes, and I don't want to put you into just an annual review box. And honestly, I've got some clients that when we call and say, hey, it's time for a review, they'll be like, is there anything going on that I need to know about? And I'm like, maybe not necessarily. And they're like, all right, I'm good. Push me off another 6 months and check back with me. So again, as long as you're being proactive and making sure that you're engaged, not only with your advisor, but and I think there's 2 ways. You be engaged with the advisor, and the advisor should be engaged with you. That's when things work the way they should work.
Yeah, I love that. All right, well, again, a couple different ways you can get in touch with Lee and the team. Obviously, you can go to talkwithjlp.com. That's the easiest way to get on the calendar, find a time that works for you. But you can call the office directly at 478-254-3550. All right, Lee, that's a kind of good insight into that annual review. So thanks for kind of breaking that down for us and helping people out that maybe don't know what to expect. So we appreciate the time.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, Ben. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for listening to My Retirement Clarity. Please subscribe if you haven't already. We'll talk to you again on the next episode. Take care.
Hey there, Lee Perkins here. If you're like a lot of folks, you've been listening to this podcast for a long time now. But I've got an important question for you. Have you implemented any of the ideas that we've discussed on the show? If you haven't, what are you waiting on? You know you're not getting any younger. So here's my challenge. Don't just consume the content. Our number one goal for this podcast is to help you close the gap between what you know and what you implement. So if you're ready to implement, take that first step today and visit www.talkwithjlp.com and schedule a 15-minute phone call with one of our advisors, and we'll help you close the gap between what you know and what you implement so you can enjoy the next phase of your life. Now is your time. Don't procrastinate any longer.
Investment advisory services are offered by J.L. Perkins Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor and insurance agency. Information is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute tax, legal, or investment advice. Always consult with a qualified tax, legal, or investment professional before taking any action.